For the past 10 years, I've been coming to this conference talking about what we're going to do at Victoria, and that was to build a gold mine. Well, we've done that, and we're producing now. So just some of the highlights about Victoria. We anticipate achieving commercial production Q2 of this year. Ramp up is about 85% complete. One of the most important stats on the project is our safety record. We've now worked nearly 2 million man-hours since our last lost time accident. And then one of the key economic factors to keep in mind on this property is that in full production we'll be producing plus 200,000 ounces of gold per year at an all-in sustaining cost of less than $750. Now, we still use $1,250 gold in our economic analysis. So 500 times 200,000, this little company will be cash flowing over 100 million per year. Just in terms of how the ramp-up's going, as I said, we're 85% complete. Commercial production later this year. All major pieces of equipment are working well. Some of the issues we're having is we had quite a cold snap last week up in the Yukon. I say minus 45 there. On Friday it was actually minus 56. But this morning it's back to minus 26. So hopefully that's the end of the harsh cold weather for the balance of the year. Now I'm going to do my presentation a little different. I don't know if any of you subscribe to the Katsui newsletter, or Katusa newsletter, but they published this week a Cambridge House survival guide, where Marin has come with, I think it's 22 questions that as investors you should be asking all the companies out there. Then you score them and decide whether they're worth following up. Now, we have a number of copies of this guide at our booth, which is out and to the left, and please stop by and pick one up. But I thought what I'd do is try and answer his questions. So the first question, how much stock does management own? Well, you can see our list there. Personally, I own over 500,000 shares. And as close as January 2nd, I purchased another 500,000 worth of shares. So I certainly have skin in the game, as do our directors and officers. Second question, does the management have a solid track record? Well, our chairman is a guy named Sean Harvey. He's brokered many deals in the mining industry, as has one of our directors, Sean Rusin. So I think we, perhaps at Victoria, don't have a track record, but certainly the people in the company have a track record. Does the company live from financing to financing? Well, I think all juniors do, but we've certainly never been out there raising $200,000 to keep the lights on or to pay our salaries. Our financings have been fairly significant since I took over in 2010. Does the company have newsletter and institutional following? Well, we have 5 analysts cover the company. You can see their target prices there. As well, we've been mentioned or covered by many newsletter guys like Byron King and Bill Shaw, just to name a couple. Does the company have free trading paper? Our volumes are reasonable for a company our size. We recently did a share rollback. So I think in terms of shares outstanding, we're pretty tight. And we've got great institutional shareholders. Is the market cap realistic? In comparison to our peers, I would say no. I think there's lots of room for improvement as we move from developer to producer. And I think a lot of people are waiting for us to get through one winter and prove that we produce gold year-round at the all-in sustaining cost we've suggested. Does the company change its name? No, we changed our name back in 2008 just to reflect that we were a gold company. Does the management team have an extremely generous option policy? No. And recently we've started restricting issuance of options to only officers and directors. Catalysts in the future, TSX listing, commercial production, quarterly reporting. We have a big exploration program planned this summer, over $10 million in exploration. Does the company expect to receive a positive PFS? Well, we're in production. Is the company in a lawsuit? No. How do we trade in comparison to our peers? It's a little hard to see this, but I would say we're in line with our peers. Our VP of Exploration, I'm a mining engineer, so the question isn't necessarily appropriate to our company, but we certainly have a very seasoned exploration VP and a team of seasoned explorationists. Are the cash costs and estimate reasonable? Well, they're based on the feasibility study that was published 2 years ago, but now we've got actual data, so our numbers are based on actuals. Is the company honest with its true netbacks? Absolutely. We only produce gold and a very minor amount of silver, so it's pretty hard to mislead anybody when you're only producing gold. Is the exploration budget thesis reasonable? I'd say very much so. We've had the same team in place for the last 5 years, and they've been successful year on year adding ounces to the deposit. Does the company spend an appropriate amount of administration and overhead? Probably not enough. And I'll give you an example. We don't have an investor relations department. I'm it and my assistant. We look after all of the IR, and sometimes I enlist the resources of my wife, but she's unpaid. The company does not have a big block of shares, options, or warrants coming trading soon. No. Is the company located in a mining-friendly jurisdiction? Absolutely. You don't get any better than the Yukon. We get great support from government and First Nations. Does the company have a reasonable exploration budget? I doubt there's too many companies out there that have a $10 million exploration budget for this year. Can we answer questions? Come by our booth. You know, we have geologists and metallurgists at the booth, mining engineers. Are there catalysts that will propel the share price? Yes, commercial production and the exploration coming up. So why invest in Victoria? Well, if you believe in the Katusa system, we scored plus 22 by my count. Marin suggests that if a company is over 15, it's certainly worth a good look. Gain commercial production later this year. Two of our bigger shareholders are Cisco and Orion. And in the case of Orion, they did over a year's due diligence and spent $1 million before they made their investment. Should be a share price re-rate as we move to full production. Great exploration targets at Nugget. One of the things we're looking at right now is going to year-round stacking. The original plan was not to stack on the leach pad during the coldest months of the year, but I told you it was minus 56 last week, and we continued to stack during that period, and I've seen no issues at all. and the mine life is significantly extended with higher gold price. You know, we use $1,250 gold in all our economics, but even at $1,400 gold, we add another 6 years of life to Eagle alone, and that doesn't include all the exploration potential. Thank you very much.